Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Blue Lightning back. Today, we're going to be talking about our tier list for the meta as well as a little bit outside the meta. So, let's get into it. First up, we have the solid choices Gravekeeper, Magispector, Purifier Kings, Ninjas, and Buster Blader. GKs is a deck that actually it focuses on the graveyard and around Necker Valley, stopping a lot of graveyard effects. A lot of decks, they need graveyard and they need to be able to access it. Gravekeepers, they shut it off. They shut off access to it, as well as Abyss Dweller, which is a generic, like, staple, or should be. It does have its own weaknesses, as any deck does. It's just the original control deck. Magispectors. It is a deck that has little animals that let you control the field. They can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. With the new support, they are massively strong. And they have not just the potential, but I believe they have all the means so far to make it to the meta. Purifier Kings. Snake Eyes, not really getting hit. Purifier Kings are still up there when it comes to meta relevance, because it's still a good deck no matter what version you play. It's just one of those decks that are like really good depending on the version. In my opinion, Purifier Kings are the best version of the deck. Ninjas, again, another control deck. It's one of those decks that's very flexible. You could turn it into either combo or you could turn it to control. It's mainly control, though. Basically, the ninjas, they do all kinds of stuff, from flipping your opponent's monsters face down to dodging attacks. They just are one of the very best flexible decks out there. You can also run a bunch of different engines, winged beasts, dinosaurs. Thanks to the transformation cards, you're able to go into some of the best boss monsters into the game, like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Dark Smorg, Smorg Lord of the Storm. You can also splash in a lot of like lower level monsters. Buster Blader. Now, I can see Buster Blader with all the new dragon decks running around, especially like Tempai and stuff. Buster Blader will be able to shut off most of the stuff dragons need in order to get going, to start their plays. And you can even use cards that stop you from your own monsters from attacking, because the fusion, Buster Blader Fusion, can't attack directly anyway. So, I mean, that can be a real bad thing. It actually turns into a good thing, because while you can't attack directly, you can still use your continuous effects to stop like Tempai and other dragon decks. The other good thing about Buster Blader is it also affects non-dragon decks. So you can literally, like, if Buster Blader got a little bit better support and more support, it could be a top contender, meta contender. And even so, even without it, I think it's still up there to be able to compete. Let's look at the good decks. Voiceless Voice. It's a really good deck. It's a new ritual deck for those that don't know. But it's one major weakness. It has two weaknesses. And if I remember right, I think they're all light monsters. You can use Lightning Imprisoning Mirror to stop their effects. The deck requires low, so if you use something like Prohibition, or you use something like, I forgot the other card, but it'll pretty much slow and stop Voiceless Voice. Thunder Dragons. Thunder Dragons with Colossus being at 1, it's not as good as it could be. Being a walking like Ash or Droll Lockbird, it's really good. The fact T-Dragons are really strong, considering you can make Chaos build. Chaos monsters are very strong, especially in a deck that can just like, banish itself. So even if your opponent tries to use like Macros or something, they're not going to get very far. Volcanics. Now, I realize that this deck like dropped off the radar, but I believe it's still a good choice, because with the new wave of support, Volcanics are able to do a lot. They're able to, blow stuff up and get Volcanic Emperor on the field. And Volcanics is mainly about burn damage. The good thing about this deck is you can literally like just kaiju the hell out of your opponent, and unlike most kaijus, you actually benefit, besides getting rid of a troublesome monster. Zombies. The zombie lock probably isn't as strong as it used to be, but it's still pretty decent. Being able to lock your opponent into like just zombie monsters, and considering there's a lot of zombie support and a lot of zombie decks that can really execute this really easy. The fact that Rivalry is at 1 kind of hurts the deck, but I mean, it's still doable. Now let's talk about potential meta. B-Troopers. With the new Ragnarika stuff coming out, reptiles and insects, I believe, have meta potential. And since they're already like a good control deck, it'll just make them that much better. Madolche. Madolches are control earth deck that recycles its stuff and gets effects based off of it, I believe. I've only faced it a few times, but it's a really good deck that is really slept on and that has meta potential. Ogdoadic. It's a light and dark reptile deck, and is also like another underrated deck and has very meta potential. Again, with the Ragnarika deck, not really deck, but cards, a lot of the reptile and insect support really make these two archetypes really good. Decks that are complete ass. Unchained. Unchained, you can link with your opponent's stuff. Now, while that's good, the fact that a lot of them target isn't. And the fact that they can take advantage of like a lot of different like engines and cards just make them just stupidly overrated. Blackwings. Blackwings were good for a while after the new support, but like trying to get over their full armor master can really be a pain in the ass. Pearly. Pearly is just one of those decks that are just annoying to play, and that just takes no skill to really learn. It facing down a big Noir and not being able to do anything about it, that's just bad. Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is, people say, is the best deck in the format. I don't think it is. One, because it's overrated, but two, mainly because that you can stop it mainly with like Ghost Bells. I mean, you can stop any version of Fire Kings with Ghost Bell, but I believe it hurts Snake Eyes more because they're more graveyard dependent. Trap Tricks, sort of the same way, not really. Trap Tricks, they usually do stuff from deck anyway, not so much graveyard. And a lot of these decks that you can use, like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, like a lot of different hand traps. Nibiru, a lot of people, they use Impermanence. I personally don't use Impermanence. But that's it for the tier list. Comment below and tell me what you think. And if you guys want to see any more tier lists, give your own recommendations and your own thoughts. Hit like and subscribe. Catch you on the flip side.